The Mosin Nagant, one of my favorite weapons, and one of the most mass-produced bolt-action rifles in history, with over 37 million being produced. Let's get into this history lesson. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. I am Teiwaz. I hope you're having a great day. If this is the first time you've ever stumbled upon one of my videos and you find yourself enjoying it, please smack that thumbs up button. It helps me tremendously. And remember to subscribe for more gameplay, gun reviews, and history lessons just like this one. Alright guys, today I want to talk to you about the Mosin Nagant. The Mosin Nagant is a 5-shot bolt-action, internal magazine-fed military rifle that was developed from 1882 to 1891. Production started in 1891 and has been used by the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, as well as various other nations. It is one of the most mass-produced military bolt-action rifles in history, with over 37 million units having been made since its inception in 1891. In spite of its age, it has been used in various conflicts around the world up to modern day. In 1877, during the Russo-Ottoman War, Russian troops, armed mostly with the Berdan single-shot rifles, suffered heavy losses against the Turkish troops who were equipped with the Winchester repeating rifles. These losses showed the commanders of the Russian army the need to modernize the general infantry's weapons. In 1889, 3 rifles were submitted for evaluation. Captain Sergei Ivanovich Mosin of the Imperial Army submitted his 3-line rifle. Belgian designer Leon Nagant submitted a 3.5-line design, and Captain Zinoviev submitted another 3-line design. In 1891, the Commission for the Creation of Small Bored Rifles ordered the bolt action of the Mosin design into production under the name of the 3-line rifle model 1891. Mosin's rifle was mainly criticized for its lower quality of manufacture and materials due to its artisan pre-production of his 300 rifles. The original 3-line rifle, model 1891, was adopted by the Russian Empire in 1891. Since then, there have been many variations from the original rifle, the most common being the model 1891-30. The model 1891-30 was a modernized design introduced in 1930. This model borrowed some details from Nagant's design, one such detail being the attached magazine spring to the magazine base plate, which according to the commission could be lost during cleaning. Another detail copied from Nagant's 3.5-line rifle is the form of the stripper clip that could hold 5 rounds and load them into the magazine simultaneously. The shape of the interrupter, a specially designed part within the receiver which helps to prevent double feeding of rounds, was also borrowed from the Nagant rifle. The model 1891 infantry rifle was the primary weapon of the Russian and Red Army's infantry from 1891 to 1930. Between 1891 and 1910, a few modifications were made. They changed sights. They included a reinforcement bolt through the finger groove due to the adoption of a 147 grain pointed Spitzer round. They eliminated the steel finger rest behind the trigger guard, added new barrel bands, and they also installed slot-type sling mounts in place of the traditional swivel mounts. The Dragoon Rifle was intended for use by the Dragoons, who were a class of mounted infantry who used horses for mobility but dismounted to fight on foot. Dragoon regiments were established in most European armies during the late 17th and 18th centuries. The name is derived from a type of firearm called a dragon, which was a handgun version of a blunderbuss carried by dragoons of the French army, and a blunderbuss is just an old-school shotgun. 64 millimeters or 2.5 inches shorter and 0.4 kilograms or 0.9 pounds lighter than the model 1891. The Dragoon's dimensions are identical to the M1891-30 rifle. Most Dragoon rifles were reworked into M1891-30 rifles, known to collectors as X-Dragoons, which can only be identified by their pre-1930 date stamp. Only a small number of Dragoon rifles were produced from 1930 to 1932, and after the reworking it became impossible to distinguish from purpose-built M1891-30s or the Dragoon rifles. They were pretty much identical besides the stamp. The next variant is the Cossack variant, which was introduced for the Cossack horsemen. The Cossacks were a group of predominantly East Slavic-speaking people who became known as members of democratic, self-governing, semi-military communities, located mostly in southern Russia and southeastern Ukraine. They inhabited sparsely populated areas and islands in the lower Dnieper, Don, Terek, and Ural river basins and played an important role in the historical and cultural development of both Ukraine and Russia. The Cossack rifle was almost identical to the Dragoon rifle but was cited for the use without a bayonet and was never issued one. The model 1907 Carbine is our next variant, and at 289 millimeters or 11.4 inches shorter and 0.95 kilograms or 2.1 pounds lighter than the model 1891. This model was excellent for cavalry, engineers, signalers, or artillerymen. It did not take a bayonet and was produced in small numbers until at least 1917. The most prolific version of the Mosin Nagant, the model 1891-30, is our next variant. It was produced for standard issue to all Soviet infantry from 1930 to 1945. Most Dragoon rifles were converted to this model. Sniper variants of this rifle had a 3.5 or 4 times scope and a bent bolt to prevent it from interfering with the scope. Rifles with scopes also could not be loaded with stripper clips as the scope would get in the way of the clip, and they had to be loaded individually. The model 1938 Carbine is the next variant that we've got. It was created from 1939 to 1945 and was intended for use by the second echelon and non-combat troops. The model 1938 is essentially a model 1891-30 with a shortened barrel and stock. It is 8 inches shorter than the 91-30. This gun was designed so that it could not be mounted with a bayonet and was eventually replaced by our next variant in 1944. The model 1944 Carbine. It was introduced in late 1944 and remained in production until 1948. The model 1944 was very similar to the model 38 with a unique addition of a permanently affixed side-folding spike bayonet. The stock of the M1944 was a groove inlet into the right side of the stock for the folded bayonet. And my favorite variant of them all, the Obrez sawed-off rifle. During the Russian Revolution and subsequent Civil War, revolutionaries, various forces, and even common criminals cut down Mosin Nagant rifles to pistol size for easy concealment. Most of these rifle caliber pistols were crudely made and lacked sights. The number of Obrez pistols decreased after the revolution when the Bolsheviks took over the imperial arsenal and gained access to stockpiles of the model 1895 Nagant revolvers. This model of the Mosin Nagant, in my opinion, is probably the rarest and the coolest of all the variants. Many other countries have made their own versions of this rifle, including Estonia, Finland, Czechoslovakia, China, Hungary, Romania, Poland, and even the USA. The US rifle 7.62mm model 1916 was created due to a desperate shortage of arms. The Russian government ordered 1.5 million M1891 infantry rifles from the Remington Arms and another 1.8 million from New England Westinghouse in the United States. Most of the rifles were not delivered before the outbreak of the October Revolution, and when the Bolsheviks took over the Russian government, they defaulted on the Imperial Russian contracts with the American arsenals. The United States government bought up the remaining stock of the rifles, saving Westinghouse and Remington from bankruptcy. Some of these rifles went to the U.S. National Guard, SATC, and ROTC, while most went on to training firearms in the U.S. Army. Alright guys, if you enjoyed that video, please smack that thumbs up button, and won't you consider sharing it out with somebody else that might enjoy this history lesson. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Later!